Warm greetings. Today is Friday, August 7th, 2026. This is meteorologist Ruben Garcia. At the time of recording this video, it is 11:30 in the morning, local time in the Eastern Caribbean. Today I have decided to record this video earlier than usual, because I would like to provide an update on the tropical waves that we will be monitoring during the next few days in the tropical Atlantic region. As you know, the Atlantic remains extremely quiet, largely thanks to the effects of El Niño. But as I have discussed during the last few videos, this does not mean that we are out of danger. Remember that we are approaching the peak of the season, and although a less active than normal season is forecast, eventually we will indeed have the formation of storms and hurricanes. And if you remember, a few days ago we were talking about how at times we will have some windows for tropical cyclone development, such as under more favorable conditions that can be generated by the passage of Kelvin waves across the Atlantic. And it appears that one of the first windows for development, especially between the Caribbean and Africa, will occur during the next 7 to 10 days, although for the moment the National Hurricane Center has not marked the area with potential for tropical cyclone development during the next 7 days. Now, what we do know is that we will have several strong tropical waves coming off Africa, and the passage of a Kelvin wave will generate somewhat more favorable conditions for some type of tropical cyclone organization, and the models are beginning to respond to these new conditions. In fact, when we look at the velocity potential in the atmosphere, you can see that during the next 7 to 10 days, a Kelvin wave will be crossing over the Atlantic region, and this may help reduce somewhat the strong wind shear that has been at record levels thanks to El Niño. In addition, remember that the North Atlantic in general has above normal ocean surface temperatures. And although this can be an indicator of more tropical cyclone activity, remember that the effects of El Niño will be so strong that the warmer water anomalies will not be able to counteract its effects. And although the tropical Atlantic currently has high concentrations of Saharan dust, the models project that in about 7 to 10 days the concentrations of Saharan dust will decrease to levels that may allow the tropical waves to at least remain somewhat stronger than what we have seen during the last few weeks. Also notice that the models project that in approximately 7 to 8 days, when the tropical waves are traveling through the tropical Atlantic, there may be favorable conditions in the upper levels of the atmosphere, with potentially an anticyclone developing in the region and providing good ventilation that may somewhat protect the tropical waves from wind shear. But fortunately, and as you will see in the next few minutes, everything seems to indicate that as it moves westward, it will eventually encounter the stream of very strong wind shear that will probably weaken or even dissipate any cyclone that forms toward the Eastern Caribbean. However, we are hopeful that these tropical waves can bring some rain and result in some type of relief from the drought affecting us, particularly the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. Notice in the following image, valid for August 17th, the European model perhaps has a tropical depression or tropical storm moving west-northwest and approaching a wall of very strong wind shear moving from the Caribbean Sea and over the Lesser Antilles. This wind shear is expected to cause any cyclone moving through the area to weaken or even dissipate. Even so, of course, these are projections and we must remain alert to any changes that may occur during the next few days. Now let's briefly look at what some recent runs of the global models show. For example, the American model this morning was developing a tropical depression or tropical storm in approximately 7 days just southwest of the Cabo Verde Islands. In the case of the European model, in approximately 6 days it was developing a tropical depression also south of Cabo Verde. The model also has a strong tropical wave moving over sectors of the island south of the Lesser Antilles. In the case of the artificial intelligence version of the European model, it also develops a short-lived tropical depression in approximately 7 days. We also have the new version of the Canadian model, which has at least 2 strong tropical waves, one of them moving over the Lesser Antilles and another halfway between the Caribbean and Africa in about 6 to 7 days. And in the run that has just come out from the German model, it also has a strong tropical wave moving over the southern Lesser Antilles between Thursday and Friday of next week and another tropical wave accompanied by a low-pressure area attempting to develop into a tropical depression. So, this means that the probabilities of development in the tropical Atlantic have increased during the last 48 hours, and it is possible that during the weekend the National Hurricane Center will mark the area with some probability of development, and we will be watching for those updates. Now, I did want to review that it is very likely that any tropical depression or tropical storm that manages to form will eventually encounter difficulties once it approaches the Caribbean because strong wind shear continues to be projected. And we can clearly see this in the projection of the ensemble members of the American model, where although many of them develop a tropical depression or weak tropical storm, basically all of them weaken and dissipate it once it approaches the Caribbean region. You can see this dissipation when the letters L representing low pressure disappear in this animation, especially when they cross over the Lesser Antilles. So for the moment, the probability of a strengthened system approaching is extremely low. The members of the other models agree with this idea. For example, in the case of the European model members, almost all of them weaken or dissipate the potential future cyclone when it moves through the Caribbean, as do the members of the artificial intelligence version. While on the other hand, Google's DeepMind model in the latest runs has lower probabilities of development, so it is evident that the possible development of any of these tropical waves still remains at a low probability, but we definitely do need to remain alert. And for residents of the Eastern Caribbean, for the moment there is no reason to worry. In fact, quite the opposite, because we are hopeful that these tropical waves, if they eventually move over the Caribbean, can leave some rain over areas that are being affected by a prolonged dry period. In fact, look at the latest rainfall projection according to the American model, some tropical waves bringing significant showers over the southern half of the Lesser Antilles, and at times, as they move through the region, bringing an increase in moisture across the northern Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic in about 7 to 10 days. Well, here at Hurricane Info I will continue monitoring these tropical waves, and so that you can stay informed, I invite you to give this video a like. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and click the bell so that you receive notifications when I record new videos. I hope everyone has an excellent start to the weekend. Tomorrow, Saturday, I will record a new update for you. See you later.